Good evening, brethren. Thank you for joining the meeting this evening. For those of you that don't know me, my name is David Butcher and I have the great privilege of being the Provincial Grand Mentor. I've been a Freemason and a member of Greville Lodge since I was in my mid-20s, and looking at me you can tell that was a long time ago. But due to lengthy spells of living and working abroad, it actually took me 24 years to get into the chair of my lodge. So, but I've enjoyed every moment of my Freemasonry. As you know, the theme of this program and this series of video meetings is exactly as it says on this screen: staying engaged. Each week the theme is different. Last week the Provincial Secretary spoke about acting provincial officers and their roles. This week it's my turn to talk to you on something that's quite immediate to our current situation. As you know from the invitation to this session, the key participants are expected to be lodge mentors. Mentors will know that I had anticipated holding a mentors seminar in April, but coronavirus put pay to that. This session is not a replacement for that seminar. I'm hoping to hold that one by video conference during the summer. This session has a slightly different theme. Brethren, the theme of this evening's talk is taking the initiative. I'm asking you to ensure that within your own lodge, an ongoing contact initiative has been taken. And if not, to ensure that the baton gets picked up with actions appropriate for your lodge and its members. I know that many lodges are doing some great things, and I'm grateful for the input that I've been given over the past few weeks. I'm hoping, though, that you'll be able to take away from this short presentation at least one or two good ideas which may be beneficial to your lodge. So, who? We want to keep the entire lodge engaged, but we do need to think of specific groups within the lodge and who might need some special attention. Newer members need to be kept engaged at this time. There's a real risk that someone who's not had the time to assimilate and enjoy Freemasonry could go off the boil. Here, the lodge mentor can play a special part by keeping in touch. If the new Mason is not already a member of the 5 of 9 Club, encourage them to join. In this respect, James Dalton, the chairman of the 5 of 9 Club, will be saying a few words towards the end of this presentation. Keep in touch with those infrequent attenders. They could well just be out of the habit of attending lodge, and this enforced pause could tip them towards thoughts of resigning. We also need to think of our less tech-savvy members, in many cases the elderly brethren. An inability to use Zoom or WhatsApp could isolate them from regular contact at this time. So what have we got as our contact channels? There are 4 principal contact channels that we use: email, phone, WhatsApp, and Zoom. During this time, we're unable physically to get together, and I'll run through some of the ideas that we can use for each of these. The first 2 on this list have been our standard ways of keeping in touch over a long period of time. The latter 2 are somewhat newer. Email is the route for formal lodge communications, along with a provincial update like the In Touch newsletter produced by Peter Manning. Additionally, as far as UGLE is concerned, you should all be receiving the UGLE newsletter, First Rising. Good old traditional phone contact is so important for us at this time, particularly for keeping in touch with brethren who need our support. A lot of this work, of course, is being done by the Lodge Almoner. As I've said already, we must not forget our newer members, ensuring that they feel engaged with us. It's important too for us not to forget candidates and potential candidates. For many candidates, their initiation will have been delayed because of coronavirus. So it's important that we remain engaged with them to keep their enthusiasm and appetite for Freemasonry going. Now, WhatsApp. WhatsApp is proving hugely successful across the province, both in terms of lodge groups and groups for provincial officers and various lodge rooms as well. It's a way of sharing news, checking that everyone's okay, and even sharing a few funnies to keep us amused during this challenging time. I know that many lodges have continued with their charity appeals using WhatsApp, appealing to the brethren to donate some of the money they've saved recently on dining fees. I'll be asking David Greenwood to talk about the 2023 festival in this respect in a few moments. And here's the one that is probably new to so many of us, Zoom. There are endless opportunities with Zoom and the way we can use Zoom within our lodges. Many lodges are having a regular session just for a general chat and a catch up on everyone's lives. Where the group's very sizable though, this can be a challenge in managing simple chatting, but it can work well with 15 to 20 people, particularly if someone acts as a facilitator to minimize the challenge of everyone talking over each other. The Solomon database has created an excellent opportunity for us to get together and increase our Masonic knowledge. A good way of using this in the Zoom environment is to have a Solomon paper read out and then have a general discussion on. University scheme lodges are holding Zoom nights and tasking young brethren with finding, in turn, an interesting or obscure Solomon fact or explanation, and then they are presenting it live, and it tells me it's resulting in many interesting as well as amusing discussions. In terms of Masonic papers, I'm sure as well that you can call on the Provincial Grand Orator for assistance, and I know he will be glad to help you in that respect. I know that some lodges are running regular quiz nights, and this is another excellent way of having a great get-together. The quiz can be either general knowledge, Masonic, or a mixture of both. And on that respect, non-Masonic quizzes particularly are an excellent way of involving our wives and partners in times when we're not having the lodge socials that we would typically have. Now, lodge profile. What is a lodge profile? Those of you that are familiar with the members pathway will know there's a recommendation that a lodge prepares a lodge profile. If your lodge hasn't done one yet, this is an excellent opportunity to get one prepared using the Zoom session as a way of doing it. So what is a lodge profile? It's simply a one-page document that describes the lodge, its background and history, the health of the lodge, how it would describe itself, and the lodge's expectations. We prepared one in my own lodge last year, and we found it to be a really useful exercise pulling it together, and it made us think about ourselves as a group and where we'd like our lodge to be. The completed article additionally is a very useful document to give to a potential candidate. I've written a short article about the creation of a lodge profile, including links to the pathway, and I'm going to ask Peter Manning to put it into a forthcoming In Touch edition, and that will hopefully help you if that's something that you as a lodge decide to do. With all Masonic activity currently on hold, we do need to be planning what our lodges do when we get back to normality, or perhaps what's going to be the new normality. UGLE has published a provisional blueprint for exit strategy. The strategy states that as soon as government guidance changes to allow groups of 10 or more people from different households to meet indoors, it's expected that a lifting of the suspension of Masonic activity will be announced. The resumption of meetings will take place 14 days after relaxation being allowed. So much is yet to be finalised, but a Zoom meeting within your lodge on the subject will give members an excellent opportunity to think through how they might work in different scenarios of easing. As a reminder, the blueprint itself can be found on the UGLE website. And finally, charity appeals. An opportunity for your charity steward and your festival champion to talk to you about the lodge's progress and which charities you wish to support. So, who should drive it within your lodge? Well, clearly, it doesn't matter who drives it, as long as somebody in your lodge is driving some of these initiatives. Clearly, the worshipful master is the boss, but many will not be comfortable with setting up Zoom calls or WhatsApp groups. The secretary remains the distributor of UGLE and provincial information. The almoner checks on members' health and welfare, and the mentor keeps in touch with newer members and candidates. Think about who from amongst your members is best suited to drive the ideas and ask them to do it. Okay, so I mentioned the 5 of 9 Club a few minutes ago. They're remaining very active during the lockdown, and we've got James Dalton, the 5 of 9 chairman, is here on the call. James, do you want to give us an update of what 5 of 9 is doing during this time and how it might link in with this initiative?
Yeah, thank you, David. So over the course of the Masonic suspension, the 5 of 9 Club has been really involved in trying to support members, not just of our club, but of the whole province. And one of the initiatives that we've taken, given our lower age demographic and that many of our members aren't in that more vulnerable category, is to reach out to those members of all lodges in the province who are in that category and who maybe for whatever reason are unable to leave their homes to visit their GP or their pharmacy. And our members have come together in great spirit to provide services where we go to any member in need's home, collect a shopping list, collect some money from them, socially distanced of course, and go and do their weekly shopping for them. We've also gone and got prescriptions, had watches repaired, made telephone calls to book appointments, and done anything that we can to support people who need help during the difficult time. We've also been able to support lodge widows from other lodges as well, and give them some comfort and a friendly face to speak to also. And we've been able to do this because as a New and Young Masons Club, all of our members are aged under 55, and as I say, in that less vulnerable category. And we found it's a really great way to bring members in and to keep them engaged with one of our core principles during this period, even though we're not able to meet. And as we learn in our first degree, we'll remember that moment we were admitted to Freemasonry, poor and penniless. And I think we've shown over this period that that's exactly what's in our hearts, and we've been very happy to support it.
James, thanks for that. James and the gang there in the 5 of 9 Club are doing a great job, and congratulations to them. I also mentioned as well charity collections, that clearly the lockdown has impacted our fundraising severely, and our continued engagement as lodges in the environment that we are now can certainly help us in that respect. David Greenwood, the 2023 Festival Director, is in the call. David, can you talk through with us about how the ongoing lodge contact could benefit the festival?
Yes, with pleasure. Thank you, David. Yes, James mentioned that the 5 of 9 were looking at the core principles, one of the core principles of Freemasonry. Well, of course, another one of our core principles is charity. And those of you who have been reading the In Touch magazine, the articles, will have seen that over the past 12 weeks, we have donated in excess of £250,000 to charity. And the interesting thing is the number of calls that I've had from brethren who are looking to make donations to the festival or to lodge charities, and are looking at ways to do that, because of course we don't have the envelopes being circulated, we don't have the ability to put a coin into a charity plate or to take part in a normal raffle. Well, many of you will have seen over the past week, the Warwickshire Installed Masters Lodge number 4538 has run a charity appeal to our members, and we have raised just under £1,800 since last Thursday. Our target is 2,000, we've got 200 to go, and I can see that by the end of the week we will be there. This is an opportunity on a number of levels. First of all, anybody can set up a Everyday Heroes page on the MCF website. I will be sending details of how to do that through the In Touch magazine, hopefully in this week's edition. It can be set up. You can raise as little or as much as you want through that. It can be a specific appeal. It can be somebody doing a particular event, or it can just be an opportunity to make a donation that you would normally have given to a lodge. Secondly, the members of the lodge want something to do, and this is what has been very refreshing from my point of view, is that people are trying to give money, and we need to give them an opportunity. So it gives you an opportunity to make a connection with the brethren who maybe are not on the high risk list. The charity, the champions that each lodge should have for the festival meet with me on a bi-weekly basis to discuss methods of actually giving money. And I'm sure they would be delighted to talk to anybody if anybody has any ideas or ways of keeping the lodge engaged and raising some money for charity. It all needs to be within our personal circumstances at this time, but anything that can be given will be gratefully received and, of course, faithfully applied. Thank you, David.
David, thank you very much indeed. So, brethren, I come on to my final slide. And for the final slide, I'm using exactly the same photo that the Provincial Secretary used last week, because I think this picture epitomises the enjoyment we get from this hobby. Whilst we can't physically get together, let's endeavour to keep our lodges together and happy in the current virtual world. I'd like to thank the brethren who by either phone or email have given me feedback from their own experiences to pull this little presentation together. And I'm hoping that some of the points that I've highlighted will be helpful to you. And so now, brethren, are there any questions or thoughts that you might want to share with us this evening to add to what we've been talking about?
Can I ask
Manchester. Stay with my sister.
hi, is there a question? Can I ask a question, please? I'm the almoner of Lodge 4340 of Loyalty. Hello, David. As the almoner, if when this lockdown is finished, that people are being made redundant that are made being almoner, and they come to me as regards what is happening out of work and no money coming in. Can I speak to the almoner in London or anybody that can? Am I allowed to say something to help them out by going to other people?
Sorry, I couldn't quite hear the last bit there. Are you allowed to what? Is the bit I missed.
David, can I interrupt, please? John Harris speaking.
Yes.
You agree with him, Jim?
You mind if I interrupt?
Yeah, John, please do.
Thank you, David. Good evening, Barry. John Harris.
Good evening, sir. How are you, John?
I'm good, thank you. As far as your inquiry is concerned there, please call me and we can discuss that. If it's related to the subscription of the brother, then the COVID-19 subscription fund will actually come into force as soon as Masonic business resumes. So there is no need for any concern on the subscription front. But if it is to do with his general financial matters, i.e. daily living expenses, then please call me and we can discuss the best route forward.
Thank you, John. It hasn't happened, but I just want to know the answer in case I get asked the question.
Do you have my contact details, Barry?
No, I don't. Can you send me an email to that, please?
I certainly will. I'll do that tomorrow.
Thank you, John. Do you want my? Have you got my email address? I'll give it you.
Your lodge is 4340.
Correct.
Yes. I'll be able to
Richard
tell
Eisen
details.
is the reverse master. Thank you, John.
Okay, John, thank you for answering that one. I appreciate that.
Thank you,
David
David.
Pinnock, you wanted to say something.
Thank you. Member of Lodge 1474, Lodge of Israel. And unfortunately, 95% of our members are over 70, and an awful lot of them have got underlying health problems. I'm trying to imagine when and if we are going to meet again. It is very, very worrying. What's the feeling?
Yeah, David, I can only sympathise with that, and that is a real challenge. You know, we can try all these initiatives that I've just been talking about, but when you've got that group, such as you're talking about, as the main cohort of your lodge, it is very difficult to think about how you can invigorate and build on that. Yeah.
May I make a suggestion? Stuart Wilton.
Stuart, please jump in.
may I recommend that almoners contact past members of their lodges, those who have dropped out for various reasons, either through age or moving away or going to join the Lions or other organizations, etc., or even their work prevents them from attending lodge. It would be rather nice in this lockdown for us to remember our former friends in our lodges.
Stuart, that's a very good point, and who knows, you might even get a rejoining member or two out of that type of initiative.
Yes, I fully hope for it. So
yeah, thank you, Stuart. Anybody else got anything that they'd like to mention? Michael Morris, nice to have you with us.
Earlier on, I have every sympathy with the predicament of that particular lodge. My mother lodge is Solihull 8088, and we have probably 80–85% of our members who are over 70 or have health problems. We found that by going on to Zoom, it does actually help rather a lot. And it's very important, David Butcher, to bear in mind that communication is the most important thing. And at the end of the lockdown, and it will come probably in September or October, when it does come, it's important to support lodges such as, I think it was Lodge of Israel, wasn't it, David? It's important to support them as much as possible, either online or, if we can, socially distance within the rules, to do so, and to get in touch with their brethren. That is very important. Not just the lodge mentor, but also the lodge children, if I can put that, those that have spawned out of Lodge of Israel, where Lodge of Israel has come. It's a very, very tight and very rewarding link that Israel have with other lodges within the particular group and the meeting place they have. I think it's important to keep those things going. So David Pinnock, do not lose heart. Do not lose heart.
No.
Other nations within Warwickshire will help, but it's good you ask how to do it. Just ask the help.
Thank you.
Yeah,
we will.
Yeah, Michael, thank you for that. That's helpful, very helpful. Has anybody else got anything they'd like to bring up this evening or talk about?
David, Michael Willits has got a question.
Sorry?
Michael Willits has a question.
Right, fire away.
David, hi, it's Mike Willits here. I'm the Secretary of Lodge of Happiness, 7952. One of the things I'd just like to add to the points that you've made tonight is that as a lodge, we've not just got the lodge mentor, but from the very outset of when we get potential candidates, we apply a brother to be their support and their mentor all the way through, and then that carries on even after they've gone through the chair. And I think it's very important that it shouldn't lie just upon one person's individual shoulders. That it's everybody can play a part in this, and the individual mentors' feedback in the fortnightly Zoom meetings that we have, if somebody's not able to make it, or we've had one brother who's been stuck in India since March. He's now back in the UK, but we've been able to give updates, with regards to how he's been doing, and he's actually been living in a lodge premises over in India.
Wow.
But that's another story.
Yeah.
But I just like to make that point that that it comes back down to planning from the very outset, and we even do it, and we keep in contact with those candidates and potential candidates that we've got going at the moment.
Right. Yeah, that's helpful, Michael. And it was helpful to have a chat with you last week as well on that. And Michael makes a good point there about mentors and the mentoring itself. One of the key messages that I like to put out as provincial mentor is that for lodge mentors, it's not all about doing it yourself. It's all about ensuring that every new member and every candidate that comes through has got a personal mentor. More than likely, it will be their proposer. but it's the mentor's role is providing that personal mentor with the tools and information to help that personal mentor move their new brother through their experience within Freemasonry. So thank you, Michael. Appreciate that.
Thank you, David.
Terry from Eastfields Lodge, I think it is, has got a question.
Please fire away.
Good evening. Am I being heard?
You are, Terry, indeed, yes.
Good evening, our mentor and brethren that are listening in. You did mention in your address to us the wives, partners and widows. But we have talked a lot about members and those that are past members who we may come back. I'm sure all the brethren that are listening in tonight will want to be aware of the wives, widows, partners of our Masons, and that all and charities are well into that. That was very, very important.
Yeah, thank you, Terry. That's a good point, well made there. Yeah, it is wider than just our own members. Thank you. So, brethren, anything from anybody else? If not, I appreciate very much you giving up your time on this lovely warm evening to come onto this. I hope you found something useful within that, and I've certainly enjoyed presenting it to you. So, brethren, thank you very much indeed for taking part in this evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, David.
Very good.
Thanks, Ian, for hosting it.
Thank you.